All right, people. So today we're going to be exposing some of Kanye's manipulation strategies that he uses on Kardashian. And the reason why, and this could be called narcissistic manipulation strategies, to be honest with you, but the reason why I find these manipulation strategies so insidious is because he understands Kim Kardashian's weaknesses. He's been with her for many years, at least was with her for many years. And because of that, he kind of got some insight into her psychological makeup and what makes her weak. And the first thing that people will do when they're manipulating you is that they will first find out your weaknesses. They will first find out what are your weak spots. And what they do is that they attack your weaknesses with their strength, right? In order to have an economy, in war that's called a perfect economy, right? You fight with perfect economy. In other words, you don't waste resources. And one of the best ways to not waste resources is attack your enemy's weakness with your strength. You got so we're gonna talk about how he's able to manipulate her and what her reaction is and how she could counter it. To be honest with you, if you guys want to learn about this, you guys can get my course, psychological game of attraction and natural chemistry. It's a course that will teach you how people manipulate you and how to prevent manipulation if you're in a relationship or single. So just click on the description down below to purchase it. And if you don't, I'm closing the channel. Okay. So let's begin this, man. And this is actually kind of interesting because that's the first thing that he does. He finds out what we're going to react to one video that talked about this. He finds out what her weaknesses are. And her weakness is this: her attention, her desire for attention, and her looks, her fear of death, right? She's afraid of getting older because her youth and her body is what got her to where she is. And one of the things about people is that people always fight the last war. People are always repeating the strategies that worked in the past. The problem is that as you get older, if you're the strategies, especially as a woman like her strategies are not going to work the same because she's getting older. That's just how that you get what I'm saying. So she has to readjust, but unfortunately she can't because again, a lot of people just repeat the same old strategies that worked in the past and they never update it. So because of that, what he's going to do is two things. One, ignore her. And two, put her in competition with her biggest weakness. And that's her younger self. What she longs the most is to be younger, to look the way that she looks when she was younger. So what he's going to do is to make that happen is that he's going to ignore her. And he's gonna publicly date a woman that looks exactly like her. I mean, people, I'm not even lying. When I saw that girl, I'm like, he's back with Kim? The fuck? He's able to find clones. He should literally be hired by dictators to find clones for them. Cause he legit, you squint and it's her. Okay, let's find out. And I'm gonna explain to you why that is. But I'm gonna explain to you cause people have types, and that's true. But the way he does it, it's the manipulative aspect. Let's watch.
Kim Kardashian was recently snubbed by Kanye West at Saints soccer game. Kanye was seen keeping his distance from Kim by choosing to
He's
stay
looking
at
like a fucking like death himself. Looking like, I don't know what the hell he's looking like. Looking like an anime character. And so he's clearly in the background looking like a shadow of that black lady. And he just ignores her. And you would think that will not be a problem. But again, if you are an attention if you're somebody that needs attention, it's gonna work on you. And the reason why it works is because he knows her psychological makeup. You know, so that's the thing that they do. And as a person, you gotta find you cannot just live with your weaknesses exposed. You have to work on it. And attention is not gonna fix other people paying attention to you. It's not gonna fix your desire for attention. The way to fix that desire for attention is to actually pay attention to yourself through learning breathing meditation, body scan, you giving yourself the literal physical attention. Like you literally feeling your hand, and then you feel your arm, and then you feel your shoulder, you feel your head, and you just keep scanning, bringing attention to each part, and you go up and down, up and down, up and down from head to toe. Just keep doing that. You're gonna start giving yourself the attention you crave, and that's actually gonna heal you. I'm not even kidding with you. This is what Eckhart Tolle teaches, right? So he ignores her. Watch.
back of the crowd while Kim was enjoying the front row seats, in hopes that Kanye would join her. During the whole match, Kanye looked disinterested in hanging out with Kim or even getting close to the front row.
Son Saints soccer game in Tarzana, Kanye chose to observe from the back,
Right?
distancing
So
himself from Kim Kardashian.
It's a decision because it works. He knows what he is doing. because it hits at her prime weaknesses, her vanity and self-esteem.
Who remained seated at the front throughout the entire game. Kanye showed no interest in Kim.
According to an
So showed no interest in Kim. He still loves her. I think he still does, to be honest with you. I just think he's a narcissist and he cares more about his image than loving people. Narcissists will rather sacrifice themselves for their imaginary selves. They'll sacrifice their happiness for their perceived happiness to look like they won on top.
insider source who was present at the game, Kim was repeatedly trying to gain Kanye's attention either by sending her kids or by calling Kanye herself, but none of that seemed to work.
So he was just there just to hurt her. You know, that's and what she should have done is ignored him. But the problem with Kim is that I think Kim is more, she seems like she's more normal than Kanye. So normal people usually have a, they tend to be more open to fix things. They tend to be more open to communicate. Narcissistic fucks like him, they just value the battle. They value the war. They value the victory over compromise.
Kanye was completely ignoring her, not even acknowledging that she was there, and by the end of the game, Kim was seriously pissed and disappointed.
So he hurt her ego. And by hurting her ego, he got her to chase him. And it works. Why? Because again, this doesn't work on everyone. Everyone has a main weakness. And you got to find out what that is in order to apply this. And I'm not recommending you to do this. I'm just saying that this is what she did. This is what he did because he knew her. So he took advantage of her weaknesses to hurt her. Let's show what Robert Greene says about how to find a person's weakness and how you guys can prevent this from happening to you.
Discover each man's thumb screw. Judgment. Everyone has a weakness. A gap in the castle wall. That weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can also be a small secret pleasure. Either way, once found, it is a thumbscrew you can turn to your advantage. Finding the thumbscrew, a strategic plan of action. We all have resistances. We live with a perpetual armor around ourselves.
And the armor that Kim walks around in is the armor of validation, the armor of attention, the armor of beauty, the armor of superiority. And Kanye could break that armor down because he knows about her. He knows that her primary weakness is her vanity, self-esteem, her desire to always look young. And so what he would do callously is attack that.
One of the most important things to realize about people, though, is that they all have a weakness, some part of their psychological armor that will not resist, that will bend to your will if you find it and push on it. Some people wear their weaknesses openly, others disguise.
Yeah, some people wear it in the opposites, where if they look too masculine, they might have a sense of inferiority. Where if they try to show how rich they are, they might also have another sense of inferiority. If they focus too much on how beautiful and young they look, they may have a deep fear of death, right? If they have an air of complete independence, they may have a intolerability for dependence. And those weaknesses are exposed through the opposites. Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. If you want to learn more about this, just read the 48 Laws of Power, chapter 33, or just join the book club where I'm going to actually be breaking this chapter down today. You could join the book club by clicking on the description down below where it says join the book club. Let's continue. She's fucking pissed off. She's diesel. Holy shit.
But Kanye seemed really happy.
Right? Because the whole goal was to hurt her.
Kanye just wants to be left alone because, according to recent revelations about his life, he does not care about Kim anymore. Adam Camacho, one of Kanye's campaign directors, recently opened up about Kanye's priorities, and Kim wasn't one of them. When he reached out to Kanye about the campaign, Kanye revealed, "Right now I am living my life. Like, I'm concentrating on the school, the Donda Academy, and my new wife, and my kids. And that's it. I just want to be left alone."
And yet he consistently is making a public show of hurting her, a public show of comparing her.
An insider who was also involved
look,
in communicating with
let me
Kanye
show
for the
you what
campaign
the other thing that he
said his
does.
interests are
It's called, he does something called triangulation, right? And I'm going to explain to you guys, I'm going to give you guys a clip from our Robert Greene book club where Robert Greene breaks down the strategy of triangulation and why it works so well.
Appear to be an object of desire. Create triangles. Few are drawn to the person whom others avoid or neglect. People gather around those who have already attracted interest. We want what other people want. To draw your victims closer and make them hungry to possess you, you must create an aura of desirability, of being wanted and courted by many. It will become a point of vanity for them to be the preferred object of your attention, to win you away from a crowd of admirers. Manufacture the illusion of popularity by surrounding yourself with members of the opposite sex, friends, former lovers, present suitors. Create triangles that stimulate rivalry and raise your value. Build a reputation that precedes you. If many have succumbed to your charms, there must be a reason.
Again, it doesn't work on everyone because it truly does depend on the person's self-esteem, and it's not something you really want to do, right? The problem with Kanye is that, this is the thing, we all do some form of triangulation. We all do unconsciously because we have multiple relationships with people, right? Mothers and fathers always have that triangulation where the kids are always fighting for their attention, right? And that fight, that rivalry makes the kids want to please their parents more, right? So this is a natural thing. The problem with triangulation is when you make a public show, when you publicly expose it, that's when it looks manipulative. Watch.
Kanye West and Julia Fox. But turns out the rapper's being very purposeful with their recent PDA, and it involves his ex Kim Kardashian.
You just gotta roll with it.
A source tells ET that Ye and Julia are having a good time hanging out and getting to know each other better. But adds, quote, Kanye is trying to make Kim jealous by being very public with Julia. He is trying to make a point. Now, this all follows the two's steamy photo shoot during their date night in New York City, which Interview magazine shared photos of. The 31-year-old spilled the deets on how they first met and their night out, telling the mag, quote, I met Ye in Miami on New Year's Eve, and it was an instant connection. Julia said that she and the Donda rapper had such a good time they, quote, decided to keep the energy going and fly back to New York City to see Slave play. The pair then hit up Carbone, where the photo shoot took place. Quote, at the restaurant, Ye directed an entire photo shoot for me while people dined.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, how that's narcissistic as hell, dude. How you make a photo shoot like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you do that? It's like, that's so narcissistic. It's kind of insane, to be honest with you. Let me show you this, though.
Let's take you.
This
Ever
is another
since
one.
Kanye West and Bianca Censori.
Look, this is the chick that looks like Kanye. It's kind of like Kim. It's kind of insane.
Many fans have been speculating that Kim Kardashian isn't happy about the news at all, and that she in fact may be jealous of the Australian architect. After pregnancy rumors.
So this is the strategy of triangulation, and I think he's taking it too far with the pregnancy thing. I don't know if she was pregnant towards the end, but it's kind of crazy how she looks exactly like him. And let me tell you how types are created. Sometimes a guy has types because, one, they look like, the woman looks like her mom. Two, the woman who he likes broke his heart. The woman, like, and so what they'll do, they'll date women that kind of look like the women they dated in the past. As though it's almost like when a dog dies and you buy a similar kind of dog to the other dog. You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of look like them. Or two, insecurities, right? Where a black guy will feel like white women are more superior. And so they'll date a certain type of white women that represents the epitome of beauty to them, right? And also this can even happen with white guys, where a white guy will feel like, he feels too insecure about being white, being boring, being vanilla and stuff like that. And so some of those guys will date the sisters to feel more spicy, right? And so they'll develop a type for black women, right? It's the same thing. The issue with Kanye is that, yes, it's one thing to date a woman that looks exactly like your ex, and that's totally fine. There's no sin in that. The problem is that he's weaponizing it in the public light to hurt her. And so it's a strategy that does work, right? It does work, but it's toxic in that way because you're using the girl that you're with. Let me show you.
recently surfaced, sources have claimed that it may actually be the last straw for Kim, who may be having regrets about ending her 10-year marriage to Kanye. The shocking pregnancy? But before we get into that, let's take you back in time to where it all started. I'm sure you're all wondering, how did Kanye switch up so quickly after just a few months ago? He was telling Kim to come back home to her family and stay with him while he was with Julia Fox. Like a house on fire. 2 months after Kanye's divorce from Kim, rumors swirled over the internet about a romantic relationship.
Dude, look at this. So what he is doing is that he's dating, first of all, he's dating a woman, 20, I don't know how old she is, but she's much younger than Kim. Okay? She's not, and she's much younger than Kim. She's really smart. She got the heavies, right? But the key is that she's younger and she looks like Kim. Like Kim. And so that will hurt any woman. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That hurts. And for me, I would never do something like this because they're just certain, especially for me knowing, like I get in people's heads. This makes people highly insecure. And this breaks you down. And this can make almost anybody chase back. And not for love, but for at least to redeem their self-esteem.
Between him and one of his employees, Bianca Censori. Ye was initially spotted dining with Bianca at Waldorf Astoria Beverly Hills in January 2023, and the rest was history. At first, fans didn't seem to think that this was serious, and some even began to say that Kanye was just trying to be with a clone of Kim. Little did we know that Kanye and Bianca had already tied the knot in a private ceremony in
toxic.
January
you see
2023.
that fast marriage is a toxic one. Clearly, this guy's projecting. This guy's love is a pure projection of himself, of his own insecurities. Because anyone who truly loves someone, well, first of all, I'm not even gonna lie. When you're in a marriage and you're together for so long, I could see how you might stop loving the person a few years before divorce. The problem for me is just the public aspect of it. And now, Kim is not like innocent here because she dated a tall white guy that looks a complete opposite of, she dated the Jewish Tyrone people and Pete Davidson. All right. So she's not innocent here, but we're just focusing on Kanye's part in this, on Kanye's manipulative part in this. We could address how she did it as well, but this does work. And the way you overcome it is, one, you ignore it. But the problem is that they have a child together. So you can't just ignore that. So for me, the best thing is to tackle the insecurity at its core. Give yourself the attention that you want from others, and not attention in terms of physical affirmation. I mean, verbal affirmation. No, it's the type of attention that your parents give you when they're empathizing with you. The type of attention that your parents give you when they're just there with you, spending time with you. And the way that you do that is just to sit your butt down and meditate, people. Jesus Christ. Pay attention to the feeling of your hand, of the body, because that's real. Notice the breath and pay attention to the little parts. Notice, just try to feel every hair at the tip of your nose. Pay deep attention. Find one little hair, and then when you breathe, try to pay attention to that hair, and then move to this part. Find one little hair here and breathe and pay attention to it. And what you're doing is that you're seeing something real. You're paying attention to something that's real and something that exists. And what then happens is that when you pay attention to that real thing, which is the breath, all of a sudden more real things about yourself will become revealed. Emotions you never felt before, you'll start seeing it because now you're seeing something real. So more things that are real will expose itself, and you'll start to see who you are, which is the self without thought. And what happens is that from that, true self-esteem arises, and that true self-esteem will absorb the negative energy that your mind creates, and you will learn how to transmute that negative energy into more presence power, which will make this much easier. And that's a meditative process. That's a meditative practice, and it does work. It really does work, but it's just that you have to suffer a little bit, in order to make it work, right? So I'm gonna explain to you guys the practice and the art of triangulation and how and why it works, because it is a strategy. And this part will be from one of my segments from my Robert Greene book club, where I broke down the chapter about being an object of desire through the strategy of triangulation. Watch this.
We are social creatures and are immensely influenced by the tastes and desires of other people. Imagine a large social gathering. You see a man alone, whom nobody talks to for any length of time, and who is wandering around without company. Isn't there a kind of self-fulfilling isolation about him? Why is he alone? Why is he avoided? There has to be a reason. Until someone takes pity on this man and starts up a conversation with him, he will look unwanted and unwantable. But over there, in another corner, is a woman surrounded by people. They laugh at her remarks, and as they laugh, others join the group, attracted by its gaiety. When she moves around, people follow. Her face is glowing with attention. There has to be a reason. In both cases, of course, there doesn't actually have to be a reason at all. The neglected man may have quite charming qualities, supposing you ever talk to him, but most likely you won't. Desirability is a social illusion. Its source is less what you say or do, or any kind of boasting or self-advertisement, than the sense that other people desire you.
It's not about how desirable you really are. It's really about how desirable people think you are. You could create an illusion of fame, an illusion of power, by just creating that illusion. For example, I remember when I went to Europe, everybody thought I was The Weeknd or Juice WRLD, and or XX, and I'm like, one person actually thought that I was XX. I'm like, yo, dude, he's dead. You know that, right? Like, Tentacion is dead. Like, people taking pictures with me. And then one time there was this, when I was in London, this one kid legit thought that I was The Weeknd. He started telling people in the train I was The Weeknd, and you know it got crazy when I started getting 45 to 50-year-old dudes wanting to take a picture with me. I'm like, dude, you don't even listen to The Weeknd, you want to take a picture with me? One time I was reading a book in that train ride, and there was someone behind me, but then I saw somebody take a picture, and it was a dude hiding in the background trying to take a picture with me. I'm like, and the kid who kept telling everyone that I was The Weeknd, like 2 girls gave me their number. I'm like, what? Nothing changed, but the illusion of being a desirable person happened, right? It's called the celebrity effect, where you see people walking and people take pictures of them, and it creates the illusion that they're desirable, right? We are susceptible to this. Just like we're susceptible to people looking up and then we look up. We are social animals, right? And we only need one person whom we are influenced by to promote that thing in order to become desirable, even if the quality doesn't change. So that's why a lot of marketing teams, they'll hire desirable women or they'll hire celebrities to get that credibility, right? To get them, if somebody of that high value likes them, then that means if they like them and I'm trying to be like them, I'm gonna like them too. It's like the guy who has a hot girlfriend and all of a sudden all the girls want him now. It's because he was chosen by her, and now other women want him, all because a high status woman, or the illusion that a high status woman likes him, even though they may not be together. But if you just post pictures where you're around high value women, attractive women, you look more attractive as a man, even if they're models that you hired, right? So it's not about reality, it's about the illusion of it. Studies show that if you take a picture with women smiling at a man, he looks more attractive. Same picture, same people, but now the people are smiling directly at the camera, the men look less attractive. Nothing changed physically with the guy, but the illusion of being an object of desire.
To turn your target's interest into something deeper, into desire, you must make them see you as a person whom others cherish and covet. Desire is both imitative, we like what others like, and competitive, we want to take away from others what they have.
They lose their ability to think rationally, and they lose themselves in the competition, right? Because of greed, because of pride. And so this type of desire that we are creating, that Robert Greene is talking about, it doesn't add to genuine love. It doesn't. But it does create the illusion of desire in order to give the person time to develop a love for you. But if there's no potential from this person to love you, and you do this, you're only gonna get a temporary result, almost like going to a motivational weekend and leaving feeling motivated, but then it fades away. So we can see this is the exact same strategies Kanye is using on Kim, right? And the reason why it works is because, one, it's tailored to her psychological makeup and her weaknesses. And Robert Greene talks about finding out a person's thumbscrew in the 48 strategies of war, 48 laws of power, right? And once he did that, then he just started attacking her weaknesses with his strength, and that's his ability to get other women. He's attacking the weakness with the strength. And in war, like I said, that's called a perfect economy, where and that's how England won a lot of wars, where they had a small Navy ship. I forgot what war it was, but they had a very small Navy ship, and they were able to beat a big army through just having perfect economy, not trying to fight everything. They gave them the illusion that they were going to fight in many different fronts. So they got the enemy to spread itself thin. But in reality, they weren't, right? Because the less concentrated the army, the weaker it is, right?
As children, we wanted to monopolize the attention of a parent, to draw it away from other siblings. This sense of rivalry pervades human desire, repeating throughout our lives. Make people compete for your attention. Make them see you as sought after by everyone else. The aura of desirability will envelop you.
All right, so as you can see, this is pretty much how Kanye does it, and how, you guys can prevent this from happening. If you're a guy, this is pretty much how you could get an ex back sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, your only shield is your self-esteem. Your only shield is also hopefully having a good support system. And it's fucked up, right? Because again, he's using her weaknesses that he knows, and it's kind of like, you kind of wonder, who should you trust, right? Like if your ex is going to use your weaknesses against you, who should you open up to? Well, the point is that in life, you got to learn how to handle pain. You can't avoid every problem, right? So it's not about how do I avoid this? It's more about how do you handle it? How do you process it? Because it's inevitable. So for me, I am not telling you guys to avoid these types of situations, because you got to open yourself up to people. You got to open yourself up to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's more so learning how to manage and handle pain. That's the key. And the way you guys can learn to do that is go into a meditation retreat, a 10-day retreat. Go to Dharma, DHAMMA.org. And there you can sign up for one. It's donation based, or you could purchase the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or you could get my course Emotional Mastery. It's a course that I teach. I'm actually gonna be updating it today. It's not complete because it's pretty long, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna be updating it either tomorrow or today. It's gonna be it's really fun. You can click in the description down below to purchase it. It's called Emotional Mastery. Or you could purchase all the other courses. Like, for example, if you're Kim Kardashian, you better get that course, The Psychological Game of Attraction. It's for women who are single. You could purchase that under the description down below, okay? Where it'll say purchase all of my courses. You'll see it. Or you guys can join the Robert Greene Book Club for $5 a month, where I break down all of Robert Greene's book. And to be honest with you, y'all better join, because when I'm done with the Art of Seduction, I'm gonna close that, remove it from Patreon, give access to every Patreon person. So if you're a Patreon, you guys are going to get access to all of this. But I'm going to put it in one course and sell it. But again, if you're part of Patreon right now, you're going to get access to all of that. So you're not going to lose access to it. But the long-term goal is to create a whole course based on that book, right? So I'm doing it a very slow way, like I do everything. Anyways, I'll see you guys inside, and